as their Kickstarter was fully funded in less than 2 minutes.
Stay on Kickstarter has been fully funded, and fully funded in a very big way.
All right, the Wonderland Kickstarter is live, so let's talk about it. So as the original affordable pinball company, again, I've been at this for like 5 years. It's all my own self and my own spare time. You know, I estimated that as like a little over 2,000 hours or so. So it's about a year or year and a quarter, year and a half of, you know, man hours for just me. And really, if you just focus on the R&D I've spent on this, it's probably like 10 or 15,000 bucks. So that's kind of where I'm at, right? These guys, they got a team of 5 people. I don't know how many are full-time. It seems like at least 2 of them are full-time. And if you go on their LinkedIn and look at their descriptions, like one of the guys actually says he's been there for 2 years, but he's not listed as the owner. So I'm not sure if he's an owner or not. But if you look at the other 2 guys, they say we're owners, and one of them says he's been there for a year. The other one says 9 months. So again, I'm not sure, you know, how much these guys on their main website, they had 5 guys on their website. I don't know who's full-time or whatever, but I'm assuming at least 2 are. So if you've been working there a year, 2 full-time guys, working, you know, 40 hours a week, they're instantly way ahead of me, right? So, you know, their goal is to get quick to market. They don't have any guys that build circuits as far as I know of. Like all their circuit boards are probably custom made, and, you know, they had to get those paid for and designed. They don't have any programmers that I see. One thing to note is in a couple of their posts and videos, they'll say, well, we're gonna get a sample in a week or a couple of weeks. Like, how's the gameplay? Well, we're gonna get a sample. So who's building these samples, right? They're not programming them, they're not building them themselves. So this costs money is kind of what my point is. So let's go real quick. So I've been looking at the Kickstarter all day. It started at noon, we're at 10 o'clock now. Here's just a chart that I charted out of their trajectory, and we knew it was kind of going to shoot up at the beginning and kind of taper off. So we're 10 hours in there. You can kind of see where this is going. Now, when I had first wrote them about, do I still have it up? Let me see. Yeah, when I first wrote this company, what's the date on this? November 6th. I said, hey, you know, here's me. I've been working in trying to get an affordable pinball company started. So it's interesting. I said, you know, I don't know how to approach this. I can't be in an NDA, non-disclosure agreement, since we have similar products. It's definitely interesting to see another company approach the affordability concept. I said we're 98% competitive. We're doing things a lot different though. And I reached out and said, you know, I don't know, like maybe I could help them out, whatever, you know, my time isn't free. I can't give them my ideas or what I've learned from trade shows like they've learned. But I had said, kind of the point of that was, my estimate is you guys have to, you're planning or you need to hit no less than 2,000 to 2,500 units to make this thing really work and be worth your time. So we're going to talk about these numbers where I came up with 2,000 units and what's going on here, right? So again, we looked at the graph here. So they're at 422,000 bucks. Again, I had mentioned the idea and the concept of these samples. People are building stuff. They're burning through time. I don't know if they're getting royalties from past jobs or like literally right now, this is all they're doing and making no money for these couple of guys or a few guys that work. So if you just assume they're not making any money and they have to pay their own health insurance out of pocket, you know, that might be $1,000 a month. You got 2 guys working, it's 24,000 bucks they need to recoup. So again, it just depends. Do they write this off and say, well, yeah, we're planning to make millions of bucks, so we just kind of push that aside, but you know, it's kind of a cost. Again, I don't know if they got other money coming in or not. Anyway, we'll set that aside for now, right? So yeah, they got this guy that they just hired, a sound designer, right? And he's been in the industry or doing whatever with sound for a while. He's an older guy. I'd assume he costs a decent amount of money, but let's just say he's making minimum wage, which in Florida is 15 bucks. So 15 bucks, 8 hours a day, he's $120 a day. He works for a week, which is 5 days. It's 600 bucks a week. Again, this is bare minimum. You think this guy is going to be making minimum wage just to make these guys rich? I really doubt it. But let's just say he works for a month, right? 4 weeks. That's 2,400 bucks. I'm just trying to get you an idea of like the bare minimum numbers we got to start deducting for how to make this game work. So 2,400 bucks for this guy. We got another guy. Remember, they had an artist. This guy, Carlos Mendoza. He's an industry vet in toys and some other things. Again, it looks like he has his own company, so he's a contractor making money. It's probably what he does on the side, and they hired him, right? So he's a contractor. He probably makes good money. But again, if you go with minimum wage and say he worked for a month and he's making minimum wage for a month to do all the design, the play field, I don't know if he's doing the animations for the LCD, because that's going to take a lot more than a month. But again, we say he works for a month, so we got 2,400 for both these guys. That's 4,800 bucks, okay? Bare minimum, guys. This is like super bare minimum entry, right, to get some work. So where do we go from here? So again, they're at 422,000 bucks. Okay, Kickstarter takes an 8% fee. So let's do 422,000 times 0.08. That's $33,700 there. Right? Again, I'm just going to start adding these up slowly here. The other numbers I had for these guys was 4,800 for contractors. I'm just going to put a note here for sample guys. Again, these guys have been going to trade shows. You know, Pinball Expo probably costs $300 a booth. They got to travel, maybe buy plane tickets or drive their prototype there. They stay there for a few days with hotel and whatever, so it's like another $1,000 or something. They said twice that they've gone to China, twice or 3 times, I don't know. You know, that's $1,200 a plane ticket round trip, it looks like. Again, you stay there for a few days, hotel and that, maybe another $1,000. So you're looking at like 2,200 bucks just for them to have gone to China a few times. I'm assuming that they're renting this facility, like, or slash, like they have like a co-developer, co-manufacturer. So they probably go to like an established toy place or somebody and say, we need these parts and this, and they're kind of doing everything for them. And they're like, yeah, we got wire benders here, we got these nice metal stamp fabricators here, and there's going to be a cost to doing that, right? So you got to pay the guy in China who's probably a millionaire, owns a couple warehouses, and say, hey, I'm interested to have your factory run a product for, I don't know, a few days, 30 days. I don't know how long it's planning to build these, but you know, that guy's got to run the factory for a while, make money. They got to do all the time for R&D to figure out how to build these parts. So, you know, this stuff's probably not going to come cheap. I mean, I don't know what that's going to cost, like 50 grand, just, you know, just to even sit down and talk to a CEO in China that's going to basically do a bunch of stuff for you and develop all these parts. I mean, you're talking, this is not cheap. All right, so let's go through some other things, right? A lot of guys are saying that it's only costing $50 and it's a great deal for the shipping costs, right? We all thought it'd be like in the hundreds or so. So, you know, I did some looking around just for the heck of it, because I'm like, 50 bucks, that seems low. So I went to USPS. I also went to UPS, both shipping companies. I put in the bare minimum of a 25-pound package, 12 inches, 12 inches, 12 inches. That was $85 to ship by UPS ground for a 25-pound package about this big, right? Realistically, I think this thing is about 80 pounds, 40 inches long, even if they compact it down as far as possible by collapsing everything. So it's 40 inches, 18 inches wide, and 7 inches high. Right? Playfields aren't super high. 80 pounds of that size, that's $223. And that's just domestic US from California to my house. And most stuff coming from China is gonna hit California. So again, this is another thing, is like, are they subsidizing these costs? Do they have some kind of business account where they're getting great discounts? And again, this doesn't include China. So if it's 223 just domestic California to Florida, 223 bucks. I mean, again, I'm not sure if they're subsidizing these costs or whatever. Let's go back. Again, we said the Kickstarter fee was 8%. As far as I'm aware, there's a tariff of all products across the board from China of 10%. Not sure if that's 100%, but I think, you know, there's different things like pork and things that we work out with meats and stuff, but just generalized, I think everything is 10%, and it's going to go to 20%. So again, if you just look at their Kickstarter right now, at the gross sales is 422,000. You multiply that by the lowest of 10%, that's $42,000. That's got to go to tariffs. It's a lot of money. Now again, if it goes to 20%, you double it. That's 84,000 bucks right off the bat. It's just, it's got to go to tariffs. So one other thing is, there's a lot of guys on the pinball forums that are like big collectors that said they have big collections, expensive collections. They're like, yeah, I bought it just, you know, for the heck of it, just to see, you know, this thing's only 800 bucks. I usually buy pinball machines for 8,000 bucks each. So if you assume of their customers right now, I think there's like 400 roughly or so, 300. Let me see actually. There's 413 backers right now. If you assume like 50 of those are guys that are just kind of like, yeah, let's test it out and see. You think they're going to be buying game number 2 or 3? I mean, right now the gameplay looks very simple. I think next to any actual real size game with cool different mechs and stuff, like any Stern game, I don't think this competes entertainment wise. Forget about pricing and size, right? It can still be a fun game and be small, but I just don't see much fun in that game. So you put it next to those two products, like, again, so sustainability of this company is the next product's got to sell more than your first product or like equal. Otherwise, you're going to start tapering off and you're going to start losing business. So we haven't. I don't see how it's a viable business until they make it at least like 1.5 million bucks. Right now they're tapered off. We'll see if they get another peak, but they got to get this thing over $1 million in the next 30 days, or I just don't see again how this works when you got all these guys involved. Again, these are guys that are older. They're not doing this to make minimum wage. They're doing this to make a lot of money as CEOs and stuff. So I have to assume, again, these guys got to want to make at least $250,000 each and be like, yeah, we made this thing. It took some time. So we made no money and then we made a bunch of money and then maybe we figure out what's going to happen over here. But so far their gross sales is $420,000. You split that by 4 people, that's $100,000. You blew through a whole year. You got 6 months still to launch it. And again, that's gross sales. Kickstarter takes 8% just off of that. We're talking 30,000 some dollars. Shipping fees, all this stuff, it just keeps adding up. So right now, really, again, we haven't even talked about building the product yet, right? So yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this thinking, okay, I know it's probably going to be cheaper to build in China. That 10%, if that's real, that tariff, that kind of doesn't help you out a whole lot to build it in China, honestly. I could build a small cabinet. I actually had a design idea. I mean, here's my small balls right here, right? So I had an idea similar, but not quite the same. I can't really tell you what it is, but yeah, I had an idea. So yeah, I think a 2-flipper game you could build in the US, and that 10% is rough. We'll see really where they come out with. Another thing that's interesting, they mentioned Steve Condris, the homebrew guy from the Pinball Room YouTube channel. They said he was going to take some role in design or something. I think they said he was going to check out the final prototype, but they haven't changed the gameplay at all. So I don't know what he's going to do other than go, hey, the gameplay looks boring. Like, and then they just say, well, too bad, we already did everything. So, I mean, I'm not sure where they're going to go. The gameplay just does not look appealing to me, honestly. Another thing that was kind of funny, I just want to show you guys this, is like, this video here where they're like, hey, we're selling a pinball machine. The key marketing points are it has flippers, it has a slingshot. Like, it's kind of comical, because again, they're saying this is like minimum viable product, right? What is the minimum viable thing that we can ship and call it a pinball machine? Like, hey, we got flippers. It's like selling a car and saying this car has tires and rims and has a steering wheel, right? It's like, what company is going to put that out as their key marketing video? It just seems really, really funny that they put that. I mean, I get the point, right? They're saying we're making something like really cost effective, and it's like, yeah, it does equate as a pinball machine. It checks the box, for what a pinball machine is, but it's just funny marketing. So yeah, anyway, we'll see where this goes, but at 400,000, I think they're kind of only just like breaking even with all their costs, honestly, right? Again, you got 4 guys, so anything they make on there has to be divided by 4. That's gross sales. That doesn't include the bill of materials to make each of these, the fact that they got to go get samples done, they got to go to a guy in China that has a warehouse that can just do all this stuff for them, whatever that costs. If they do, again, if they only do a run now and they want to do a run later, like, what does that cost? Do they have to go there and get their whole assembly line up? I don't think they own their own warehouse that's just going to slowly make games over time. It's going to just be like a one-off Chinese toy maker running, and then they're going to stop, and then maybe later they'll come back and do another run. So yeah, again, they got all these business costs. They're going to WonderCon. I know, like, those booths might cost $1,000 for a day, or sorry, the weekend or so. Just thousands of dollars here and there. I don't know if tariffs are coming in. Kickstarter's 40 grand almost with fees. I mean, this is a tough business. Again, not fully funded. They keep saying fully funded, but really at $400,000, I think they're just scratching the surface here. They got to sell at least 2,000 units.